I'd like to call to order the May 10th meeting of the Tiverton Town Council. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag
of
of the United
States of America,
and to the republic
Republic
for which
for
it
which
stands, one nation,
one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with
liberty
liberty
and justice for all.
for all.
Donna, you're in your fleece just like me. I'm freezing.
Oh, I'm
I
always.
have my heat on. Joan,
I don't.
could you do the roll call, please?
Councilor Cook,
Here.
Councilor Vieira,
Here.
Councilor Edwards,
Here.
Councilor deMedeiros,
Here.
Councilor Perry.
Here,
Mike Burk is temporarily absent. Councilor Janick,
Here.
Councilor Burke had a work obligation and will be joining us no later than 8 o'clock tonight. At this point, I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session, Town Administrator, Rhode Island General Law 4246582, collective bargaining, IBPO. I'll explain my reason is
so moved.
wait a minute, Attorney Kavasa has some conflicts later on in the evening. And so I've decided to do this early so we can dismiss him and he can go on with his life. So Joe Perry, you
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a
I'll
second?
second.
Deb Janick made the second. Mike Marcello, I did this correctly. Okay. Also, I'd like to tell the public who's looking on right now that I am going to make this only a half hour long so that Tim can give his opinion on some of the information we're going to give. I will probably go back into this executive session later on this evening. All those in favor, Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Vieira,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes,
Councilor Janick,
Yes.
and I'm a yes, but thank you.
I think
Okay,
who else?
Does Jeannie need to be let in?
Yeah,
She's in
Jeannie
it.
needs to
No,
be
she's
let
not.
in.
No.
Yeah, she's in. Hang on. She's here. Okay. Just Rick Rogers and Bruce Reimels, I think that we're trying to be in. They'll be in. I texted them both. Are we all set, Andrew?
Yes, you're all set.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
All right. All right, so we'll continue. Consent agenda. Approval of town council minutes, April 26, 2021, regular session. April 26, 2021, executive session. April 27th, workshop, Councilor deMedeiros and Councilor Cook abstained, absent. April 28th, 2021, special session, Councilor Burke abstains, absent. April 28th, 2021, executive session, Councilor Burke abstains, absent. Acknowledge receipt of minutes from boards, commissions, and committees. The Cemetery Commission, 1. Acknowledge receipts of correspondence, Town of Burrville, resolution in support of legislation of adult recreation use marijuana. Town of Burrville, resolution to waive the local maintenance of effort requirement for schools. John Moran Jr., short-term rentals, anonymous short-term rentals, Bob Lance, Bill Sales, industrial park land purchase, planning board delays. License renewal, Charles Mulcahy, 65 Beach Avenue, request approval for annual renewal of private detective license. Town administrator, approval to advertise for seasonal labor. Town administrator, approval to advertise for annual fees and fines. Resolutions, F1 2021 beach fees, F2 planning board fee schedule and consultant engineer escrow schedule for FY 2022. Would anybody like to take anything from the consent agenda? Deb,
I'd like to take A1, C345, F2.
that's exactly what I was gonna take off. So anyone else?
I was just gonna do one of them.
Okay, so I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda without A1, C345, and F2.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor Burke. All those in favor, Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
Yes,
Councilor Janick,
Yes,
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Vieira,
Yes.
and last but not least, Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay, A1, Councilor Janick.
I was late for that meeting, so I'm going to abstain from voting
Okay,
on the approval of those minutes. I was there for executive, but I was not there for part of the regular.
okay. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the April 26, 2021 regular session as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Councilor Burke made the motion, Councilor Perry second. All those in favor, Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
yes,
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Vieira,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and Councilor Janick.
Abstain.
Okay. Councilor Janick, C3.
Well, C3 and C4, I'd kind of like to lump together. They're letters that we did receive on short-term rentals. The anonymous one in particular, I felt badly that I really had no awareness that this was happening. I've not observed it. I've not heard people speak about it. And both of these letters both had some recommendations, and I was wondering if we were planning a hearing or something to discuss this further.
Well, Mike can agree with me or not, but I think we're trying to make an ordinance concerning this, and at that point, all these concerns can be brought up. Is that correct?
Yes, Council President. So what I'm trying to do, and I'll get it to you, hopefully, I will get it. I'll make a commitment to get it to you before the next your meeting. I'm going to provide you a memo outlining the different options that you have. And then I just need, based upon what direction the council wants to go in, and then I can physically draft an ordinance. But there are some decisions that need to be made by this council as to how they want to go either. And basically the three options, and I don't want to get too far into it, is don't regulate it at all. Which would basically mean you're looking a blind's eye, ban it altogether. In other words, no short-term rentals whatsoever, as is currently, which is currently my opinion under the current zoning code, or come to like a hybrid approach where you regulate either through the zoning code or by a license. And so actually it's four options. So you regulate either by requiring people to get a license and or you amend the zoning code to allow it for a certain period of time by special use permit.
Okay.
There are a lot of gradations in between those.
Councilor Edwards?
as far as C4 goes, it was anonymous. However, I went to the website that this individual suggested that we look at and could find none of the things that they found. So I am going to ask that particular individual if he would care, or she would care, to email his or her phone number to my town email. I would like to call them and get some further information. But if they care not to do that, that's okay too.
Thank you.
I did Google it, Jay, and I did find some, not tons.
And you
but
got to help me because I wasn't smart enough to do it.
I did find some.
Well, I don't know if you're not smart enough. Believe me, I've gone onto sites and other people have found things I haven't, so.
Yeah, I just didn't.
All right, any other discussion? I'd like to entertain them. Oh, well, we'll do C5 before we go any further. Deb?
So I did receive an email from Mr. Lance detailing a very long history of lots of complaints with planning board delays, et cetera. And I think there was a subsequent email that came out that negated some of that. I know Susan Gill sent out an email. She had gone back. So I think there's just a lot of discrepancies. And I just think that we need to look into it a little bit further
So
because,
may I suggest, because this is what I was going to suggest, that the town administrator and the planner get with Susan and get together and do the timeline, figure out, I'm not saying that anyone is lying here. I'm just saying that people have different points of view as to what happened. And maybe if the town administrator, the planner could get together with, and Mike is also the attorney that's there. So he has an insight on this too. And I'm hoping that they get together a timeline, tell us why certain delays happen. And if we can try to expedite this for Mr. Sales, I would love to do that. It seems like years ago we approved this, and Donna can agree with me. It was a while ago. It was 2 councilors ago. So, so what I was hoping to do is have them research this for us, come back to us for a report, and I'll put it on the agenda at the end of May. Does
Okay.
that sound okay with all of you?
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
yeah,
All right, so I'd like to entertain a motion to approve C3, 4, and 5.
So
so
moved.
moved.
Motion's been made by Councilor Edwards, seconded by Councilor Janick. All those in favor, Councilor Cook,
Yes,
Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Janick,
Yes,
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Vieira,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Next item, F2, Planning Board fee schedule and consultant engineer escrow schedule for FY 2021. I mean 21-22, sorry. Deb?
so some of the costs have gone up, some have gone down, and I was just wondering how we came about this fee schedule, and are we consistent with other towns? Because it was the planning board fee schedule and then the consultant engineer schedule also.
Yes, and I also wanted to put this on here. I found some of these fees a little exorbitant. And I also noticed that there is a different change in different categories. And I have been getting complaints from people saying how expensive this is, and especially if this goes on from month to month, how much this is costing them. As you all know, we are writing a planning board ordinance as we speak. There's been a committee to talk about certain problems that people are coming to us with. The plan is in the future for us to meet with Susan, the planner, Stu. The committee is me, Deb, and Mike, and Chris, Mike Marcello, and the planner, just to talk about these complaints and talk about what we can do to make us look more business friendly. There's been recent complaints of rudeness over there, and I think this all needs to be sorted out. I would like to table this until we can have a meeting. Of course, we're going to bring all of the information and the plans we have to all of you. And I'd also like a real good explanation on why some of these are increased, why some of this seems so high, and also get the planner's input on what she thinks, what she's worked in other communities, what she thinks these costs are. Donna? Oh,
yeah.
Donna,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Is there a list, a brand new list is there a brand new list of fees? Because I don't have it.
Yeah,
It's attached to the same thing as the beach fee one. So your
Oh,
backup.
It's
okay.
for F, and then it's in there.
All right, okay. I remember the last time they did fees, they looked at neighboring towns to see some of what we were charging was way too low. And they adjusted it. A lot of times they look at, like we do with contracts, we look at, what other people are getting, and we try to come to a consensus whether we're in the ballpark or not. So, I mean, that's the way it was done the last time the fees were done. I don't know how they did it this time, so.
Yeah, Donna, that's a real good suggestion, and maybe we can have a comparison on what communities like us are charging right now. And see if we're in the ballpark. That's a really good suggestion. I look at these numbers and I don't know about the rest of you, but I don't know what's reasonable and what isn't. But some of these do seem high. And when people are calling me, telling me the cost of what they spent with their development, it seems a little high to me, but I don't know if I can fairly say that that's not what other communities are doing. Someone else had their hands up. Mike, did you, Attorney Marcelo? No? Okay. Anyone else?
I'll try to
So,
get you a run of escrow fees that being requested in the past year or so, so that you have a schedule of what's been charged to various customers.
So at this point, I would like to entertain a motion to table F2 until the next meeting, after some research has been done.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Motion's been made by Councilor Edwards, second by Councilor Janick. All those in favor, Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Janick,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
Councilor Vieira. I made you last, Bill. I thought I'd make Joe feel better.
Okay.
I think I'll make Joe first next time. Public comments regarding a council agenda item or other town business. Any comments received? Madam Clerk?
No comments received.
Thank you. And we did have letters that were sent to us under the consent agenda, which were comments regarding short-term rentals. Public hearing advertised. Discussion and possible vote on proposed amendment to Code of Ordinance, Chapter 6, alcoholic beverage, Section C9, number of BV licenses to be 30. The proposal may be altered or amended prior to the close of the public hearing without further advertising as a result of further study or because of the views expressed at the public hearing. This came up to us because Tiverton's growing and we've been getting a lot of requests for licenses, and we've reached our max. Actually, we're a little over our max. And at the last hearing, at the last discussion, Chief Jones did express his opinion that he did agree. And Patrick, if I'm quoting you wrong, tell me, but you did agree to go up to 30, and you thought as long as we monitored this, you felt that you were comfortable with this number, correct?
That is correct.
All right, so at this point, I'd like to open the public hearing and ask if anyone has any comments. Please raise your hand if you're in the attendees, and Chris will give you the number to call it. Chris, do you have it? I'm trying to find it.
Yep, I do have it. So the call-in number, it's a toll-free number. It's 877-853-5247. You'll need the meeting ID number, which is 831-1015-8669, and the passcode is 560638. All of this is published on the town's website for the agenda meeting for tonight's council meeting. We'll give it a few minutes. Does anybody, are you asking for public comment now? Anybody in the waiting room or
Yes,
attendee?
anyone in the attendees, please.
If anybody in the attendee room would like to speak, please raise your hand. So again, there's no hands in the attendee room at the moment. The information to log on, you can call in, is on our webpage for town council meeting. It's a Zoom meeting, and you can dial in at 877-853-5247. You'll need the meeting ID number, which is 831-1015-8669 with a passcode of 560638. Again, anybody in the attendee room would like to speak, please raise your hand. We
I
have not.
always feel like we're on Dialing for Dollars.
I know. I'm gonna get the third time.
You're showing your age, Deb.
You're there, queen for a day.
I just clarified, this license is for like restaurants, right? They have to serve food,
Yes, yes,
not
yes.
for like bar rooms. Okay.
Well, a bar room can do it, but they have to have food
They have to serve
available,
food.
like a lounge can do it, but they, right, Mike? They have to have food available.
BV is a liquor with food.
Yes.
The chief is
So-
shaking his head because he knows, I guess he goes to, I don't want to say that, chief.
So one last time, again, the meeting agenda is published on the town's website, and the contact information to get on the Zoom meeting is published there. If you don't have computer access, you can dial in a toll-free number, 877-853-5247. And the meeting ID number is 831-1015-8669 with a passcode of 560638. And again, anybody in the attendee room would like to speak, please raise your hand. I'll just give it one more minute and see if anybody.
Yeah, I think we're good.
I think at this time, Madam President, you could take a motion to close the public session of the hearing.
Thank you, Chris. Yes, I'd like to close the public hearing. Any of the counselors want to add anything to the discussion? All right, so now I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the number of BV licenses to 30.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion's been made by Councilor Janick, seconded by Councilor Vieira. Councilor Perry,
Yes.
Councilor Vieira,
Yes.
Councilor Burk,
Yes.
Councilor Janick,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Cook, Donna. Yeah, I think you're frozen, but I can read your lips. You said yes. And I'm a yes.
It's a thumbs up.
I'm telling you, the North End Cox is not impressing me lately. All right, Board of Licenses. Saco, Rhode Island, John Cordero, 19 Blueberry Lane. Request approval for annual U8, U10 soccer tournament, June 5th, 6th, 2021 at Town Farm from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. I believe Teresa, yep, you already brought Teresa. Hi, Teresa.
Hi, it's John.
Oh, John. Oh, all right. It says Teresa, John.
I'm on her iPad. She brought it to
You
me
get
at work.
awfully deep there on me.
I
Got a
got
cold.
stuck at work today doing a double.
All right. John, would you like to say anything right now about the event?
Well, this is, our annual event. Without COVID, it would be annual. We skipped last year. Obviously, there was nothing going on last year because of COVID. We're back on this year. There'll only be 2 sites, Tiverton being one of them. And it's the same process, except now we have a plan for contact tracing.
Great.
But it's a 2-day event. The girls will most likely come on Saturday, the boys on Sunday. I'll be there by 6 a.m. setting up. I'll probably be broken down by 5. The concession stand will be open. We'll use the soccer concession stand. So as far as the contact tracing, SRI has a roster for every participant and coach with their name, address, telephone number available to the state if the state called to inquire. I will provide the contact tracing information for all of the referees and for my volunteers. And my main committee, we're all fully vaccinated.
Very good. I noticed that Stu is here as head of recreation. Did he want to make a comment? Hi, Stu.
Everybody, hey there. I don't have anything really to say other than we had a good conversation on recreation with John. We support this. It fits within the same time frame of the approval we'd given to soccer so far, youth soccer. So as far as recreation is concerned, as long as it is agreeable with the town council, recreation supports it.
Thank you.
and John has adhered to all the Rhode Island Department of Health guidelines. He's been in contact with them, and he's followed every piece of guidance that is required by the law, the state to have these kind of tournaments. So that as far as administration goes, we're in support of them as well.
Yeah, and as
Madam
far as I
President?
know, he's been doing this has been going on.
Yeah.
And just to let you all know, there's never been a problem with this. It's very well organized, and it really is a good event. Joe?
Yeah, Madam President, I'd like to entertain a motion to grant the Soccer Rhode Island, John Cadero, 19 Blueberry Lane, permission to hold the soccer tournament June 5th and 6th, 2021 at the Town Farm from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion's been made by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor Janick. All those in favor, Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Janick.
Enthusiastically, yes. John and Teresa and their crew run a fabulous tournament, and kids have a great time. They leave Town Farm cleaner than they got there, and they raise a lot of money for a really, really great benefit. So absolutely, yes.
Councilor Burke.
Yes, but Stu needs to change his profile. It's not winter anymore. It might feel like it, but.
Yeah, we'll have him in Hawaii.
You don't
like
have a
the
hat
Hawaiian
on.
background still. Councilor Perry.
Absolutely. And John, if you need any help, feel free to call.
Thank you.
And I'm a yes. So John, thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your continued support.
Thanks,
Good luck,
John.
Okay, have a good evening, a good night at work, John.
Thank you. So long.
Bye-bye.
Hopefully this won't stay a biennial event.
No, I know. All right, appointments and resignations. Cemetery Commission, a 5-member board, 3-year term, 1 vacancy. Eva Duclos, 75 Lewis Avenue, request reappointment to expire 4/15/2024. And Donna Kudo, 3 Whitetail Lane, request new appointment to expire 4/15/2024. Because we have 1 vacancy and 2 applicants, we usually do not appoint this evening until we talk to the applicants and then put it on for the next meeting. I see Dana here. Do you want to bring Dana forward, Chris?
Well, I don't have
No, we don't have Eva.
Eva.
Hi, this is Dana.
Hi, Dana, how are you?
Hi, good. Sorry about before.
Oh, it's okay, Dana. We gotta figure out what to do. Like, it's a little thing with Zoom, but hopefully we'll be not doing Zoom forever, so it may all
True.
work out.
True.
So Dana, tell us why you want to be appointed to the Cemetery Commission.
Well, it's an interesting commission with the, and, you know, living in town, and I have lots of family and friends buried there. And I just want to, you know, work on something and make sure that it still has the same standards that it has right now, because it always looks good. And I just thought it would be an interesting thing to do.
Okay, any questions for Dana? No? All right, Dana, we are going to appoint at the next meeting. Hopefully maybe Eva will be able to join us at the next meeting. Joan,
Okay.
could you reach out to her and ask her to come to the next meeting so that we can interview her also?
I will.
Not you, Joan. Joan, do you have a
I'm sorry, I
contact
said
for
Joe.
her?
I sent the information to both Eva and Dana with the Zoom information to attend tonight's meeting. I will do it again for next meeting.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Dana, for your interest. I know you volunteer for numerous things.
Oh, thank you for your consideration.
All right, you're welcome. Have a good night.
You too.
Don't we have vacancies on the Historic Cemetery Commission?
We probably do.
I know they do different things, but
Okay,
we have 2 people interested in the Cemetery Commission.
Chris, you brought Patricia in here. Is this for the,
It's for the Town Farm Renovation Committee.
okay, all right.
Reauthorization of initial resolution and appointment of new member Patricia,
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna butcher it, Nanini, 70 Brayton Road.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good. All committee members' terms. My only concern is how many members do we have on there? So is there an opening there or we don't have a limit there, Stu?
Stu, do you know?
We do. We have one opening. So they're currently, there's supposed to be 9 members and 2 ex officio. Unfortunately, our treasurer had to step down earlier this year, so there is a vacancy currently.
Okay.
Stu, Madam President,
Yes.
who was the person who stepped down, Stu?
Deb Palish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
And
did know that.
Madam President, and part of the reason we put this up for reauthorization of the initial resolution was in our meeting to prep for tonight. Solicitor Marcello brought up that generally speaking, committees like this follow the, unless there's a term, a deadline put in them, they follow the term of those in office who appointed, who created the committee. So this had no expiration term. So we felt it was important to reauthorize with the existing members absent, Ms. Palish, and then to appoint and to put a sunset date.
Okay. So do you want to do that first, reauthorize? And,
Sure.
and I'm not sure what the sunset date, it would be completion of project, in my opinion.
So we put a sunset date of 6/30/2023, which can be revised by who's ever sitting at that point in time. So they can still keep it going if they felt a need to. And Stu, how does that fit with your timeline?
Sure. So the grant is only a 3-year grant. So this would align with that and give us a little bit more runway for potentially phase 2 things that have been bantered around. So seems to make sense.
Okay, so I would like to entertain a motion for reauthorization of the initial resolution of Town Farm Renovation Committee with the expiration date of 6/30/2023.
And the reappointment of all of the original members, with the exception of Ms. Palish.
Okay,
So moved.
So moved. Oh,
well, I'll give it to Mike with you, Jay, as the second.
That's fine.
All those in favor, Councilor Perry?
Yes.
Councilor Vieira?
Yes.
You all changed positions on me. Councilor Burke?
That's what happens because you had me with Chris.
Councilor Janick?
Yes.
Councilor Edwards?
Yes.
Councilor Cook?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Now, Patricia, welcome.
Thank you.
Could you tell us what your interest is to be on the Town Farm Renovation Committee?
Sure. This is Patricia Nanini. You can call me Pat. I'm interested in the Town Farm Committee and being the treasurer because I'm so excited about all of the projects that are going on in Tiverton. There's so many great things happening, and I want to make sure that I'm part of those. And I feel that with my experience in bookkeeping and town finances, I can add another level of help and assistance to the town farm.
Patricia, I love your enthusiasm. Thank you. The first thing I'm going to ask is, does anyone have any questions for Pat? So the next thing I'm going to do is entertain a motion to waive our policy and appoint this evening.
So moved.
Second.
The motion's been made by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor Vieira. All those in favor, Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Janick,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
yes.
Councilor Vieira,
Yes.
Councilor Perry.
Yes.
I'd like to entertain a motion to appoint Patricia Nanuni, whatever.
You got it. No, you got it right.
Good, perfect. To the the town, I'm sorry, I lost my whole, Town Farm Renovation Committee.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Woohoo!
Motion, wait a minute, we have to vote. Don't get that
Oh.
enthusiastic
Don't get too
yet.
excited.
I really do love you, though. So a motion's been made by Councilor Edwards, seconded by Councilor Perry, I believe. All those
Yes.
in favor, Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
I got to think about this.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks.
Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Janick,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Vieira,
Yes.
Councilor Perry.
Patricia, there's an initiation fee of 1.2 million. Yes.
Oh, Bobby.
I mean, yes, now you can say wahoo, Patricia.
There you go. Well,
And smiles.
Oh, thank
All
you
right,
so
welcome
much.
aboard, and I'm sure
Welcome
Stu's gonna
aboard.
really appreciate your energy. Thank
Well, I
you.
do.
Thank you. I'm very happy.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on, general business, senior center director, Holmes, approval of budget transfer. Okay, $1,200 from account 6110, 6420 elderly bus service to account 6110, 7840 building maintenance. 1,200 from account 6110, 7470 supplies, activities, instruction to account 6110, 7840 building maintenance.
So,
Janet, you with us?
Madam President,
Yeah.
at your last meeting, there was a motion, there was a item for transfers that were higher than this, that were tabled. That item is being withdrawn to put in a lower transfer. And the rationale for it was because somebody had noted that in the expenditure run, there was still monies in the building maintenance account, and Janet actually recognizes that she can make this issue be resolved with a lower transfer and still leave a little bit of money left in that account. I'll let Janet speak to it, but I wanted you to know that I wanted to, I don't know if you need a motion to withdraw the item that was tabled or not. Okay, all right.
No, I don't think so. What do you think, Mike?
No, stays on the table until it's removed, so this is just a
Okay.
new motion.
Okay.
All right.
Hi, Janet.
Hi, can
Would
you
you
hear
like
me?
Yeah. Would you like to speak on this?
Sure. When I originally put the request in, I was just trying to make sure I had enough money till the end of the fiscal year, which I had to consider a couple of things that were coming, like the septic and, you know, besides the construction project that we did. But we still have a little cushion. So, and I guess if, you know, something happens where I need more, I can ask for another transfer further down. So this should suffice for now.
Janet, I would like to also commend you on getting us a grant for some of the renovations you did. We like when department heads do that. It helps us with budgeting, and I want to thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. I was, a lot of times the grants are used for, you know, our staff, and we had an extra grant early on with the Crush COVID. So that had paid for her salary. So I had this other opportunity. So I noticed we needed a little bit of renovations. We had some rotted wood and we had railings that were not very secure. So that's what got us going on this. And one of the things that this grant allowed for was safety, you know, for safety construction, if you will. So that's why I put in for this one. So yeah, it was something that we wanted to do. So obviously it didn't pay for all of it, but it did pay a third of it, which I thought was good. And we also had extra money because we weren't able to use the bus or we weren't using the activities. So that's why I wanted to transfer that money over to pay for that.
Thank you, Janet. Great budgeting.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Not for me, no. I do apologize for not making your meeting last time.
Oh, it's okay.
I feel very silly, but my, and everybody was so nice. They were reaching out to me, but I have my phone on Do Not Disturb at 8 o'clock because of telemarketers and everything. So I didn't get the messages until the next morning. So I apologize for that.
That's okay. I understand the do not disturb. I do that after 9 o'clock so I can go to bed.
Exactly.
Councilor Edwards?
I just want to apologize, Janet, for not being there last Saturday. I got my Saturdays mixed up.
Oh, well.
And for anybody of us who has not gone by the improvements on the senior center building in the front, turned out very nice.
Yeah, we're very pleased. Very
We
pleased.
just got to do the rest of the building.
Yes. Yeah, that's my big wish. So.
Anyone else? I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the transfers as stated earlier.
So moved. Second.
Okay, so I think it's Councilor Perry and Councilor Vieira. All those in favor, Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Janick,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Vieira,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
You too.
Hi, Janet.
Bye. Take care.
Okay, Councilor deMedeiros and Cook. Discussion and possible vote on resolution establishing financial town referendum and personnel changes advisory committee. Does everyone have that in front of you?
Yes.
Mike, would you, I don't know if you need to say anything on it. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, Mike Marcello, you talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, so as you may recall, I don't know, the council has been discussing this for quite some time. I know Donna had some concerns about personnel and the way the charter is written regarding to minimum qualifications, and the council president concerns regarding the FTR process, and I think it came to a head last year when we had to vote on the FTR when there was no alternative budget, but we still had to have a vote, and it cost the town, I think, $6,500 to have a special election to approve a budget that was not opposed. So that prompted, us to kind of try to put together a committee to look at ways to maybe improve the process on both fronts. And this was modeled after a advisory committee that was established, I believe, maybe the town clerk can help me with the year, but there's a resolution that had passed maybe about 10 years ago regarding the same thing. I just kind of updated the language and the purpose. I didn't update the membership. That's up to you, how many people you want on the committee. But I use that as a model. Because you had this model, I just used that as the basis. And then the most importantly thing that they would have to get back to us by May 1st, 2022 with their proposed recommendations. That will then give the town council time to consider whether any amendments that they may suggest whether they get put on the ballot or not. And generally, in an election year, local town issues have to be submitted to the Secretary of State by, I think, the 1st of August. So I thought that would give enough time between May 1st and August 1st for the council maybe to have more additional public hearings on any amendment changes. That's about it.
I'd also like to say that this is a committee that I know that there's a lot of people in the public that's had concerns regarding some of the FTR procedures. And I hope that people will volunteer. We're having problems with the casino committee, but I hope that we'll be able to have some participation, especially from anyone who's worked with this, maybe retired budget committee members, retired clerk, hint, hint, Nancy, and anyone else that would like to participate. Donna, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just want to say that what Solicitor Michael said was that there is always a reason to have an FTR, even if there's one budget, because people have to vote on the resolves. So I don't know what you do about the resolves. It still has to be voted on.
You're right, Donna, but if there isn't any resolves, which, yeah, you're right.
There has to be every year.
There has to be resolves.
But there was
So
other things
have to
that,
have it.
yeah, there was other things that concerned people. And I hope that those people come forward and join this committee. Councilor Burke, I know you had a couple.
Yeah, Madam President, and I'm not sure if you want a motion first on what's before us and then look at possible amendments to it, or if you want me just to make suggestions.
Why don't you make suggestions and then I think we can have one vote and if
Okay.
everyone agrees to it.
So my first suggestion is on the first page in the purpose paragraph, on the fourth line, strike, put a period after the word voters and strike the language that I'll read: to make the FTR process more efficient, cost-effective, as well as to clarify language and remove any ambiguities in its implementation and execution. My reason for that is I would like to see this to be broader in terms of what it can and cannot look at, including whether or not this committee wants to recommend moving away from an FTR to a process more similar to what other cities and towns use.
So this does not mean we're getting rid of the FTR. It just means that we can listen to opinions concerning changing the process.
Correct.
I just want to make that clear because I don't want to read in the newspaper and on Facebook that this council is trying to get rid of the FTR, because that will happen.
What were those changes, Mike?
Is to, so if you look at the fourth line in the purpose paragraph, put a period after the word voters and just strike the rest of that sentence up to the colon. And I think that colon should be a period.
Yeah, it would be. So be council for possible submission to the voters, period. And then the next line would be, in addition, the committee shall.
Right.
Correct.
I got it.
Okay, I get you.
Is that a formal amendment, Mike?
Well, I think what the president wanted to do was see if there's any objection before we make a motion.
Councilor Edwards?
Well, I want to ask one thing. On the second page, under membership.
Can I that was part one of what I was talking about?
So do you have any comment on what Mike just proposed, alleviating that sentence?
No.
A part of that sentence? Anyone want to discuss just that right now? No? Okay. Mike, continue.
So the second part is on the second page, item B, the membership. And I don't know if we want to, well, I'm going to propose it in one way and we can talk about it. So 4 members to be appointed by the council from the public, one of whom may be a member of the school committee. And the reason I say may be because we might not find a member of the school committee that wants to be on it if we say shall. And then we'd have to come back and redo the committee membership. So that's my only reason for saying may be a member as opposed to shall be a member.
I think it's important. I think it's a really good idea to ask the school committee if they would like to be on this. We all know that the FTR affects the schools as well as the town, and their input would be helpful to us. Does anyone have any comments on that? Councilor Edwards, did you? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I have a question now. Are we looking at 9B in tonight's agenda?
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't see anything in here about school. Under membership, I see 2 co-chairs appointed, 4 members appointed, the secretary selected, etc. I don't see anything about school committee.
Right. I'm suggesting that be language be added.
Okay. If you want to add it, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I got it. So is this going to be, as we're looking at it now, 6 members or 4?
6.
6. We really should have 7. We should have.
That's what I was going to bring up. It
So
implies.
maybe put 5 members to be appointed by the town council. One.
Well, it says in here that there'll be ex officio non-voting members, which implies that the rest of them will vote. And we certainly don't want to have an even number.
Can I just make a point? Sorry, Council President. So I'm not going to weigh in on whether Mike's idea is good or not, but I will say that by indicating that there will be a school committee member, the school committee, if a school committee member is a member of the public and allowed to be on the committee and accepts the position, then basically the school committee would have a vote and the town council would not have a vote on that council.
I was just thinking of that. Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to make the school committee member an ex officio member like the other members, but I'm just pointing that out.
That could be.
Yeah, maybe that's what we should do. Either that or put a counselor up there. But I'd rather just make the school committee ex officio.
Which means that they can participate in the debate and weigh in, but they just can't vote. And again, I made it ex officio non-voting. You can change that. That was the I used the basis of the other committee. But I think it's important to have certainly the largest budget. But the largest budget item is the school budget, and it would be affected by an FTR. So I think it's a good idea to have someone there, but I don't know if we'll have a voting member and then not have the council to have a voting member as well.
If we, sorry.
I'm confused now. So it would be 2 co-chairs. So it's actually 6 members of the public.
Correct.
And we need a 7th.
We do need a 7th. So you want to make it
5 members. You could just take 2 members, 2 co-chairs, and then 5 members of the public.
5 members. And now I'm confused. The co-chairs may each nominate 2 members.
That's kind of weird, but that's how it was written. So the 2 co-chairs, whoever the council chooses, they can nominate people who might want to be on the committee, but you don't have to actually take those names.
Yeah, I think I want to take that part off.
Okay.
I just want the town council to nominate the 7.
Okay.
And then the committee can appoint, so we're going to appoint the co-chairs.
Correct. Because, yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna appoint all members, and you're also gonna pick the co-chairs if you strike what you just said. Yeah.
Okay. Any comment from the rest of the council? Chris?
So we're gonna have 7.
Oh, wait a minute. You don't have Chris, go ahead, but I think I know what you're gonna say.
So I was going to suggest that while Mike made a good suggestion about putting an elected official in, my suggestion would be the town treasurer. If you're going to deal with the financial town referendum, having one of your elected officials who deal with it would be appropriate. I know that, I'll be addressed, I'll be asked questions, those will all be part of it, but I'm also not a town resident. So to be on the local charter review, it wouldn't make sense. But having your town treasurer on it would make sense.
Okay. Do we want to make the town administrator an ex officio? I think we should.
Can we?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Well,
We did
the
it.
reason I ask that is we do not have on our boards, commissions, or in our government anybody who is not a town resident.
Yeah.
Let's just make them an
but we do
ex-town
have.
administrator.
Yeah, but we do have, but if you really think about it, we do have town employees that don't necessarily, I don't want to say employees.
We don't require an employee to be a resident of the town.
Right, right. And like, if you think about it, like the trash committee, we have the DPW director, and he's like the ex officio there. He gives his opinion. He right now lives in Tiverton, but in the past we've had the DPW director that doesn't live in Tiverton. That's also the ex officio. That was the ex officio.
I'm just being the devil's advocate here.
No, I just think that the town administrator who works with the budget, who works with this process, should also have some say, at least give his opinion on some of these subjects. So we could add that. So on D, we'd add school committee member and town administrator. And what Chris is suggesting, out of the 7 members, the town treasurer is part of the committee. Is that what you're saying, Chris?
Yeah, I'm saying it may be the town treasurer. That could be one of the members of the public. And I think that would make sense, but that's,
But then the treasurer would become a voting member?
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
And she is an elected official, so she is.
Yep.
She is a citizen, so.
Yep.
We can do that. I don't know how she'll feel about that, but.
Well, yeah, I didn't ask her.
Well, you got to accept.
Well, if you make the language maybe as opposed to shall be, then it
Right.
gives her an option.
Yeah, we'll do what we did when Mike suggested the school committee member. We'll put maybe the town treasurer. Because I can see Denise right now probably trying to dial in right now.
Just got an arrow in my back.
But then, okay, so you say may, we've decided that we have to have 7 members.
One of the members may be the town treasurer. How about that? One of the 5 members may be the town treasurer.
Okay.
5 members to be appointed by the town council from the public, one of whom may be the town treasurer.
Yes. And then
Striking the
in
rest
D,
of that- we're striking the rest of that language, is that right?
Yeah, okay.
Nomination by-
That
yes.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and strike the rest of that language. And then also in D, we'll add school committee member and town administrator as ex officio.
Madam President,
Yes.
do you want to give the school committee the same footing as the president and vice president of the council? So the chair and vice chair?
Okay. That's a lot of ex officios. That's a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
It is.
Donna?
I'm just wondering if there's a violation of the boards, commissions, and committees policy where people that are elected cannot be on committees.
No, we read that because of the casino committee. Because we did put a budget committee member on that casino committee originally. In the charter, it does not say anything that we can't be on committees. But it does specifically say that a budget committee member can't.
But it says in the policy for boards, committees, and commissions that you can't, and that was accepted.
Didn't we change that? Didn't we change that?
No,
Because it's advisory.
you can't be elected and be on.
No, I'm just trying to figure where that is, Donna, because I'm looking at the town governance policy right now. It's adopted April 1st, 2019.
It would be boards, commissions, and I don't have it in front of me.
Is it in the
But you
charter or is it in the charter?
The chart, no, it's not in
Might
the
even
charter.
be in the charter, but it's in both. You can't serve if you're elected.
Well,
If you're
you're
elected, you can hold
a voting member, you're an
one
advisory
Wait a
member.
minute, Chris, did you find it?
Yeah, it's dual office holding. No elected member of town government can hold more than one elective position.
Charter.
No employee can hold an elective office in town government while they are employed by the town. And no elected member of town government shall hold an appointed position at the same time unless the appointment is made to fill a temporary position. But because this is not a position, it's
An
it's not an
advisory.
appointed position, it's just an advisory committee. I don't think that matters, right, Mike?
No, you're reading from the charter.
Yeah, 1213.
Donna's suggesting that the town governance policy, that you're right, what you said on the charter, but that you have a governance policy that may, and I'm looking for it. I have it in front of me, Donna, but I don't see anything about boards and commissions, to be honest with you. I'm just.
I'm looking as well.
I think it would be under town council, not paperwork, but documents.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the boards and commission policy, which is what I think Mike is looking at. And I did a quick run through it. I didn't find it. I'm running through it again.
I'm looking at the governance right now.
Yeah, I have a hard copy. I don't even know if it's the right one. Mine's dated April 1st, 2019. Is that what you're looking at, Mike?
let's see. This says the last date on this is amended by council on August 24, 2015. That's the one that I'm finding posted on the website.
Are you looking at the town governance?
No, I'm looking at boards, commissions, and committees.
I have town council governance adopted by the town council April 1st, 2019.
Yeah,
Policy
that's what
number
I'm looking at.
2012-2. I think that's the one that's in effect, and I don't see anything on boards and commissions. That's nice.
I don't see it either.
So the, in the boards and commissions policy under item 2, it states appointments, terms, scope, and duration and other guidelines will be governed by the resolution creating an advisory board or group.
So that just means that the resolution establishes who can be on it and whatnot, so that's good.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, why don't we do what we did last time? We'll do it and
Subject to a review of all town documents to make sure they're not in violation, something like that, Michael?
Yes, yeah, that's fine. I can look at it quickly. I know you want to get moving on this, so. I'll look, Donna, I don't see it in the governance policy of April 1st, 2019. If you're aware of another policy that may be out
No,
there.
it's not under town council governance. It's under boards, commissions, and committees.
Yeah, and I'm not finding it there either.
We'll take a look. This is an advisory committee.
I can't look it up.
That's fine. The other issue is this is just an advisory committee. They have no authority to adopt or whatever. You can just advise for amendments. The council will make the final determination of whether or not.
so that's different. And I've known, like, I've been on advisory committees as town council president in the past. And there hasn't been a problem with that.
Have you voted? Are you a voting person on it?
Yes, I was.
I mean,
on the casino committee a long time ago. And right now Mike is chairing the casino committee.
So I do find, but again, I don't know if this has changed since this was last written. Under section 1011 of the charter, it cites that section. Members of boards, committees, or commissions must be electors of the town. No members of boards or commissions as listed in this charter shall be elected officials or employees of the town, except as provided in section 1213 of the charter.
I think that's true.
So yeah, we have to compare that to the current version of the charter.
And I have it right here.
And make sure you have the right version, because we found the other day that what's in the clerk base is an old version.
Yep.
I actually have the latest.
1213 is what Chris just read about.
I actually have the latest.
Okay, but you also, Michael, have to look at, I lost it, 1011.
I'm looking at that. Yeah.
Right, that's actually in the board and commissions on the website too. On the policies, guidance.
But it says boards or commissions as listed, correct, Mike, boards or commissions as listed in this charter. In other words, those charter, boards and commissions as listed in the charter, you're creating a new, you're creating an advisory committee.
Right.
So that would not apply.
Okay, you're right, okay.
So that would apply to the tree commission, all the commissions as listed after, but not that, not this.
Yes.
Makes
All right.
sense.
All right, is there any other discussions?
So we are going to put the treasurer under B. And under D, we're adding the school committee member and the town administrator.
Yeah.
Is that it?
And I'm
Donna, thanks for raising that.
And school committee and vice president and vice chair of the school committee, Denise?
Yes.
Okay.
I just looked at that, yes. And then page 1, strike after voters, make that a period, and start next. In addition, the committee shall. Am I right, Mike?
Correct.
Okay,
And then Donna, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, Council President, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Donna, then I haven't heard you about your so the scope of the committee as it relates to job qualifications. I listed all job qualifications in the charter. That's what I got from the minutes and my notes from your comments.
Is that correct, Donna?
Oh, I'm gonna be voting no for all of this because I think it's a CRC without an election. So I'm done with it.
Well, I want to explain something. We can, and I think my boss might.
Sure, I know you can. You can do anything you want. I think it's wrong and I'm gonna vote no.
But per state law, we can change, right, Mike?
Sure you can. You can do whatever you want. I'm voting no. I think it's wrong.
Okay.
So the only thing that I would say, Donna, to that is you're correct. The council has the authority to do so, but it was your proposal to have the qualifications of the committee.
Well, they're the ones that rolled it into this. It's whatever you want to do. I just washed my hands of it. I think it's wrong.
No, but Donna, I do want to say something. So you don't want us to put the FTR portion on this. I think that's what you're objecting to, but you think it's all right if we change the charter as far as the personnel portion. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But see,
that's all
you're
right.
kind of contradicting yourself because you're saying we shouldn't be doing this at all, but it's all right to do it with the personnel part of it.
Well, not really, because when I put this in and it would be approved, it would then have to wait for some election for people to approve it, and of course a hearing. Then all of a sudden it became, I told you from the start, Denise, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I told you from the start that I was against changing the FTR without an election in the CRC. And yes, you can do anything you want, but I don't think it's right.
But there will be, but I don't want any.
Do whatever you want with this. I'm done with it. If you want
I just don't want the public to think that we are not going to put this to a vote. Whatever this committee advises to us, it will be on the ballot and people can vote no. So.
CRC did that and it just didn't use anything and you put your own on. So just a waste of time.
Okay, Councilor Burke.
Be afraid that the people going to vote on something. They could have turned it down. You didn't know, but you decided not to go with it. I'm just so over it. It's just wrong.
Okay, Councilor Burke.
Donna, I just am a little unclear on one piece. So let me ask you this. If this had nothing in here related to the FTR and we were creating a committee to advise us on the personnel issues that you've raised as to whether or not the charter should be changed, is that something you would agree to?
Only if it was separate.
Only if it was separate from what? The FTR piece?
I don't agree with you doing the FTR the way.
Okay.
If the CRC has 9 people on it that are elected. You're almost at 9 people and you're like putting all this together and everything because I don't know, are you afraid who people are going to elect?
So here's my conundrum. On one hand, and this is kind of repeating what the president said, on one hand, you think it's okay to have an appointed committee to make recommendations to certain sections of the charter that have nothing to do with the FTR. But on the other hand, it's not okay from your perspective to have a committee, an appointed committee, make recommendations on changes to the FTR sections of the charter. Is that accurate?
No, it's not accurate.
Okay, so what's accurate?
Remember, when I put this in, it was because there was lots of problems with the personnel and it was always a violation if someone had or was a very good candidate and might have something a little bit off from what it said in the charter. So I just decided to put it in. At the time, there was no talk of an FTR. There was a little bit, but it wasn't really whether it was going to happen. I didn't know. So it was just the one thing, if you wanted to do that or not. And all of a sudden, it got rolled into, and I did bring it up. What is this turning into a CRC? And it was, oh no, and it really is. It's a CRC with appointed people rather than elected.
So it's okay in your mind for us to make recommendations to the public on changes to the charter outside of a charter review commission, as long as it doesn't touch the FTR.
Yes.
Only for the one thing I put in.
Okay, so again, I'm just,
I'm not saying if.
I just, I find that a bit hypocritical. Now, I understand, but I find it a bit hypocritical in saying that the charter is sacred to the point, only to the point of pieces that you think shouldn't be touched, but things that you think should be touched can be touched outside of the regular charter review commission process.
Well, if, that's not it at all. You know, it's about the FTR, which is a big deal in this town, has to do with money. This is just a small change. If you don't want to change it, you don't have to.
But people can vote no. It's still going to the voters.
Thank you, Madam President.
It's still going to the voters, though. That's what I want to make clear.
It's the process that you're choosing so that you don't have to have an election. So that people can pick their own people if they want an FTR or not change or charter changes. It's just talk about hypocritical. I mean, really.
Okay. Thank you, Donna.
Whatever. Do what you want to do.
Councilor Edwards.
I want to make a motion that we approve item 9B, resolution establishing the financial town referendum and personnel changes advisory committee.
As amended.
As amended. Thank you.
Do I have a second on that? And then I will address any comment. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second. Deb?
So this committee advises and they come back with some suggestions. Can we then put those on as resolutions on, I mean, it won't happen this year, but next year?
Well, it has to go on the ballot as charter changes. Am I right, Mike?
Yeah, so this committee makes advisory recommendations to the town council. They make, I don't know what, they could come back with nothing. They could say everything's great and we don't want to make any changes, or they could have amendments. I can't prejudge what they will do, but let's assume that they come back with some amendments, 3 amendments. The town council will then have to decide whether those 3 amendments are approved by the town council. Only the town council can approve a charter amendment. And once they approve those charter amendments, then it goes to the voters at the next general election. So that's why I put the date that they don't need to complete their work by May 1st. That gives the council from May, June, July to have public hearings on the proposed amendments, assuming the council even wants to adopts the amendments, and then they'll be on the ballot for that November. So no amendment will be approved unless it's approved by first the town council and then by the voters. And if the voters reject it, there's no amendment.
And there'll also be public hearings where people can give us suggestions, either tweak what's been suggested, or they can speak against it or for it. So it's a lot of public input in it. Chris?
So this is no different really than the November 8th, 2011 election, special election, that the FT financial town meeting was changed to an FTR by an advisory committee of 6 people that was appointed.
Correct.
It's identical to that, correct?
Correct.
And at that time, people had a great affinity for the financial town meeting, although it did change. It's the same thing. People will get a chance to vote on it, whether you like it, up, wrong, or indifferent.
Yeah, it's not something that this council has invented. This was done before. And this is actually what Mike, Mike used the template for that committee and put it into this committee. So it's almost word for word.
And it's been touted numerous times that this charter, this FTR needs numerous tweaks that have never been done.
Correct.
So I think it's appropriate to have somebody take a look at this.
Anyone else?
That it kept being said that it needs to be tweaked. It needs to be tweaked, but it hasn't been.
Right.
Nothing's been changed. But the voters will decide.
Exactly. And there'll be public hearings, there'll be a public input, and then it'll be on a ballot where it has to win or not, or lose.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, so I have a motion on the floor and I have a second. All those in favor, Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Cook,
No.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Vieira,
Yes.
Councilor Janick,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. It passes 6-1. Thank you, everyone. DPW Director Rogers, let's bring him in.
Hang on.
Request council's approval of Rhode Island Resource Recovery Corp., Tiverton FY 2020 and FY 23, I'm sorry, FY 23 municipal agreement.
Where am I? That's, so every year, we sign this agreement with, Rhode Island Resource Recovery, and I'll let Rick speak to it in a moment, but I know there's a little bit of confusion. That's why I gave you the prior copy of this. And I did work with Mike Burk earlier today to confirm that Tiverton is exempted under Rhode Island General Law 2319-13. It defines any existing licensee for landfill is exempted until closure of that landfill. So Tiverton is exempted for solid waste, but because we utilize them for our recyclables, and we do at times have contaminated loads that need to be put into the trash at Johnston without being returned to Tiverton that we ultimately pay for, we do need to sign an agreement with them to manage our recyclable issues. And until such time that we actually close the landfill. So I don't know if Rick has any more to add to it, but.
Yes, thank you. And we also on a regular basis, thank you, Chris. On a regular basis, we take our C and D
That's
to
correct, yeah.
Johnston.
That's right.
And as Chris mentioned, 23-19-13, landfills that were in operation by municipalities as of December 1st, 1986, they shall be free to continue to use their landfills until the close of their landfill. So again, on page 1 of the agreement, it does state that you have to take your trash there, but that's an exemption. So the agreement obviously looks good to DPW. It is every 2 years they have a new agreement, and it's based on our fiscal year, which is their fiscal year, and it all looks fine to DPW.
Any questions from the council? Councilor Burke?
No, and Chris, I appreciate you responding earlier, and Rick, thanks for that. Just one quick question, so I don't have to look it up. What is C and D, Rick?
Oh, yes, thank you, Mike. That's construction and demolition debris.
Okay, thank you.
And one thing I would mention is although it's not pertinent to us right now, the fee per ton will be going up. It stays the same the next fiscal year, $47 a ton, but the year after that it goes up to $54 a ton, and overcap is going from 80 to 90 in the first year of the agreement, and then $100 per ton. So it does behoove us to make sure we do recycle correctly and not go over the cap.
So, and just for edification, the fee structure for this year, by great work by the League of Citizen Towns, did actually defer the increase until FY 23 because of all this COVID issue that went on. They did convince the governor to keep it stable for this year and increase it next year.
Thank you. Councilor Burke?
Quick question related to that, Chris. So what is our annual cost for membership in the league, roughly?
It's, I want to say it was about $8,000.
And how much would you estimate that what you just described would save us?
From the league? From, or just this particular item?
Just this one piece, how much money would you think it saves us, roughly?
It wouldn't save us a lot right now because we're not bringing trash on a regular basis, but when we do, at 15,000 tons a year, it would be significant because it would go from $48 to $54 a ton.
Yeah.
So it would, I can do the quick math, but it would be a pretty good chunk of money.
More than $50,000?
Oh, yeah.
So It's a wise investment in the membership in the league.
Oh, absolutely is. Believe me, they've saved us money elsewhere as well.
Well, I was just
I
gonna
know.
say that it's not.
I just want to
savings.
make that point. Thank you.
Yeah,
No,
it's
they-
not just savings on this item, it's savings on several items.
Right.
Thank you, Mike, for bringing that up.
I don't mean to interrupt, Mike, but on the COVID, excuse me, Madam President, may I speak? Sorry.
Sure, go ahead. Yeah,
On the COVID issue alone, Mike, in the first part of this year, they were invaluable. We would have never have been able to get this stuff done without their help.
Yep.
And
okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve DPW Rogers' request to approve Rhode Island Resource Recovery Corp. Tiverton FY22 and FY23 municipal agreement.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
I'll give it to Deb and second to Jay. All those in favor, Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Vieira,
Yes.
Councilor Janick,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes.
Thank you all.
I'll need
You're
you,
Thank you,
welcome,
Rick.
Rick. Thank
Mike
you.
Marcello, I'll need you to sign this as well.
thanks.
All right, Town Administrator, approval of appointment of John M. Hoyle Jr. as building official and ratification of employment contract.
So we went through obviously the interview process, and you've all met John through that process. We did hire him. I used the exact same contract as our prior building official. There is no change, no financial change, no nothing based on the terms and conditions of what we had with the prior.
John is in the audience. Hello, John. Is there any questions from the council?
Hurry up and sign them.
Yeah, and we did meet John. We all did, and we all had a chance to have a conversation with him. And I, for one, am very happy that John's going to join us.
As am I. Like I said, I've been doing this my entire adult life. I've been in different situations. I love this community. Granted, it's early. But
Yeah, I was going to say, all right.
Give it time.
I've already experienced some of the issues. Do you see me doing air quotes? Can you see me? No. Okay, I'm doing air quotes. I can handle it. You know,
Okay.
I'm thick-skinned. I'm not afraid. My whole position is, what can I do to make the best for the community? You know, and that's not just some line. Okay, that's always been my mantra. All right, whatever job I've always had, how to make things better.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Any questions from the council? I'd like to entertain a motion then.
I'll make a motion to appoint John Hoyle to the position of building official.
And can we ratify his contract right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
The motion's been made by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor Vieira. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Vieira,
Yes.
Councilor Janick,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Welcome aboard, John.
Thank you all. And I just want to say that if at any point in time, okay, I can answer a question for you. I'm available 24/7.
Thank you, John.
Okay, John. First question I have. What are the? I have a first question. What are the winning
My dog is Mega
million numbers for tomorrow night?
Sorry, sir. No, my
What are
dog
the
is.
winning Mega million numbers for tomorrow night? That's the first question I have for you.
What? I don't have those.
Good answer.
I wish I did. Then I could
All right.
retire, right? Right?
We all could.
It was a pleasure, all, and I look forward to working with y'all.
Welcome, John.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much for
John. Welcome aboard.
the opportunity. Thank you. All right. Good night.
Good night.
Night, John.
Town
Okay.
Next one is Town Administrator, discuss FY22 levy.
So we did a lot of work, and I know as your council, you have spent an enormous amount of time going through this budget. making significant cuts wherever possible to try to get this, these numbers down. And obviously, we thought that we were doing a really good job when we got the budget down to 3.1. And we got a tax cut of 6.04. Unfortunately, our levy is still at 7.64, which, while we were all excited about where we got to, it's in violation of the law. We do need to have a levy of 4%, or there are options, and I know I've heard loud and clear that we're not looking at looking for a waiver at this point. I think, you know, I wanted to put some scenarios before you that would help get this number down significantly. I know that we have some, you know, federal monies coming in that would be very helpful on most all of our capital issues. So if we were to, you know, reduce, and I know technically the school capital sits on the town side of the budget, and it's been that way historically. It's not included as part of maintenance of effort for any issue. The fact that we've eliminated most all of our other capital to make a reduction there, and probably even looking at cutting some paving to a significant number would get close to about $1 million. That would still leave us, you know, some significant piece to try to resolve. I know this, I have to make a presentation by the end of this week to the budget committee as a formal budget submission, and without knowing fully where the school's budget really is, because they have the same deadline. I don't, you know, I'm assuming based on the prior presentation from the school that this is what they're going to stay with. I know they've actually increased their capital request in the last 2 weeks. So that's not going to reduce the levy unless they come down with a significant reduction. I just want you to all be aware of it. At some point, this is, you know, either the budget committee is going to have to cut this down below, but I'm trying to, you know, at least find some rationale and to help the budget committee get to where they need to be. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna have some significant monies coming in. We do have some gaming money that's sitting on the side. We are working hard to try to get the balance of that money for this year. All of that could be utilized for, you know, these reductions that we'd be looking at that would not impact our departmental services or our, you know, so I'm trying to find big items that we could utilize to offset to try to get us within the 4% cap. So, I just wanted to bring this to your awareness. It's, you know, it's ultimately we are going to have to wrestle with it once the budget committee is done to see where they are at. But I was hoping that you could at least give me a little bit of guidance if it's permissible to continue going down this road of looking at large capital items to offset to get to the 4% levy maximum that we're allowed by law. And the majority of this is driven by, and I'm not being critical of anybody. We all did this last year. And I know we've got new members of the council now, but some of you were on the budget committee at the time, that, you know, we wrestled with a significant issue last year when we lost the gaming, and we used a lion's share of what we had sitting in reserves. And we can't make that money up twice. And it's very difficult to offset that now to get to a particular levy. So, you know, like I said, this is more advisory. And if you have some advice for me to move forward with the budget committee, I'd be glad to take it and move forward.
I was also at the budget committee meeting with Chris Thursday, and I'll be there this Thursday. I did tell them that we would put our heads together and try to see if we can find more savings. And I only mean savings by, can we use some of the COVID money for some of the items? I don't believe that we can cut this budget much more than we have. And I will say that I hope the school committee is looking at the COVID money also and see maybe some of their capital can be spent with the COVID money. But what I was thinking, and I was thinking about this evening, I'm going to put this back on the agenda in 2 weeks. And maybe if we put our heads together, and if any of you have any ideas, come back to us. I do think the Chris's suggestion about the paving, because I think we could probably use the COVID money for the paving, but I know Chris is looking into that. And if we get better guidelines from the state on what we can use the money, maybe we could even do more of that. So Mike,
Just a quick question to make sure I'm looking at the right number. Chris, these pages aren't numbered, but on the page that starts at the top, levy to be raised by taxes.
So I'm sorry, on the very first page, it's page 1, 2, and 3 is as the town council left the budget, as the last and final budget that was adopted by the town council.
Yeah, my question is very simple, I think. On that page that I just referenced, levy to be raised by taxes,
yes,
at the top of the page. It's the third page, I believe.
Okay,
The number that we have to reduce by, is that 1.372?
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
and you've included already the 500 we took from,
I did.
okay,
So there's a potential, obviously, of another, I think there's 600,000 sitting in the reserves. There may be some more money. I know Denise Surratt is working very hard to go through to come up with a projection for that. She's not confident to give any kind of response at the moment. She still has a lot of work to do of projecting out what salaries will look like for the rest of the year. So, I don't want to speak for her, but I think in 2 weeks, she'll have a better answer for us.
yeah.
And I know she is diligently working through that. So, there are just, any suggestions at this point would be very, very helpful. And again, I do know, after working with all of you to put this budget together, that you obviously don't want to lose, police, fire, and limited DPW that we already have. And there's really very little on our side of the budget to cut other than major capital items. So it's,
Yeah, but as far as major capital items, the only thing that we have on there is the fire.
Correct.
But I feel that taking paving and maybe spending the COVID money on that's not a reoccurring expense. That's an expense we put in there, whatever number it is every year.
Right.
So it's not going to be deficit spending because it's not a contractual obligation. So doing something like taking paving out and using the COVID money, if we could, that's $100,000, but that's helpful. And if we could think of other items on there, but I mean, we took all our capital and we found other resources to pay for it. So, but maybe there are one-time expenses that aren't written in stone in the budget that we could take from COVID. But we'd have to be careful because we'll find ourselves right back in the same situation if we use it for any kind of contractual or any kind of expense that we have yearly.
So
But
the only other piece, just so that we're all really clear on what these numbers represent, even with the school numbers, there are state laws that we're bound to, whether it's this 4% or the maintenance of effort issue as to where the school budget could actually be at the minimum. And I'm not saying we should go there. That's the decision for the budget committee and between the budget committee and the school committee. But that there's not a lot of money left because of their loss in state aid and last year's budget. There's not a lot of room there. There's only just over $300,000 in that number. So the $1.3 million becomes pretty glaring. I just want to put all the cards on the table. We can't just cut it all out of the school either, even though they have a very, very large budget, doesn't necessarily mean that they have the ability to make this kind of adjustment. Now, I do know that they have other monies coming in as well too, and I don't know if there's any reflection points with those monies that they have available that could be utilized to help with this budget issue. So it's a significant issue. We are trying to work our way through it. The budget committee has been very receptive to working with all of us to try to get to the right place. But like I said, at this point, I think this is just advisory only until we can, get more information moving forward with what our reserves might look like and where the budget committee is actually going to end up with.
So what I suggest is we put it on the next agenda and we invite the treasurer to come to that meeting. And if anybody else can think of anything that you would, any other ideas, they're welcomed. Also, I want to say that it was suggested from one of the members of the budget committee that we use the casino money to buy the fire engine. And I I just expressed my opinion, but I thought it would be pretty disingenuous considering that we will be doing this committee and we have made it perfectly clear that the casino money is for all town expenses, including the school committee. So for us to decide to use that money, I would not believe it would be right in what I believe and what I've been saying all along. And I did say that, and it seemed like they did agree with me also, but this committee is being formed with the school committee so that we can share this money and use this the best way we can. So I would never vote to just take that casino money right now. By the way, we only have 900,000 in there, so there really isn't enough anyway. But I would never vote to put that whole sum and buy the fire engine. I think that that's not right. All right, so will we address this in 2 weeks? Is that okay, Chris?
No, it's fine with me. I just wanted to bring you up to speed on where we were with it. That's all.
Thank you. Town Renovation Committee, Stu's been hanging around with us in his winter scene for a while now. Discussion and possible vote on request to spend $6,950 on town farm site survey. Hi, Stu.
Hello.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about this?
Sure. So one of the things that the Town Farm Renovation Committee identified is that there isn't an existing current survey of Town Farm. And while we've been able to accomplish a lot of what we're looking for at the moment, specifically with regards to sort of step one of this project, which is the playground, as we go forward, not only with the scope of what our grant, but as we look at Town Farm holistically, we really need to know what we're looking at. And so Josh Carreau, who's on the Town Farm Renovation Committee, who's a landscape architect by background, and Rick Rogers, Director Rogers, kindly took a look at sort of what the scope for an RFP should be and did a review. And this was what the bid that came back recommended through the DPW and through Director Rogers. Essentially, this allows for us to move forward and have a better read on where we are with this project. I will tell you that part of the reason that this hasn't come in front of you sooner is we wanted there to be some revenue that the Town Farm Committee was starting to generate just as part of our fundraising efforts. So there is money to be able to apply towards this, but just did want to make sure that we put it in front of you and sort of asked for the funding.
So are you asking for us to give you this money? That's what I'm asking for, or just permission to spend this money?
Permission to spend.
Okay. Now, will this have to go out for bid, Mike?
Mike Marcello, sorry.
Yeah, Mike Marcello, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I got confused now. What was the amount? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
$6,950.
For a good or service?
It's professional services, engineering.
Town farm site survey.
Engineering is exempt from the, well, it's not exempt from the bidding, but
So it's surveying under an engineering firm. So I think it still technically falls within the.
Yeah, probably. My reluctance to not giving a more definitive answer is that $5,000 gets increased by the cost of living over here. So I don't know if it might be close to 6,000 by now. I have to check with the state purchasing office.
All right. Well,
if I may add something.
Yes.
Denise, yes, a year or two ago when I was talking to Nancy, the limit on this kind of item to DPW's understanding was something along the lines of either, depending on whether it was considered a good 7,600 or so, or a project, and that was up to around 14,000 with the CPI adjustment some way back when. And we did do the unofficial, but we contacted 3 outfits, and the $6,950 was the low price. So it was clearly DPW's understanding that we followed the correct parameters to arrive at this low bid, not low bid, but low price, given after we contacted 3 entities.
I think that's the last page of the hard copy that we received.
Right.
Yes. So, so we'll give permission, and then if Mike does any research and finds out we have to go out for bid, could you tell Chris, and then Chris can tell
Yeah,
Stu.
If Rick's numbers are correct, which I don't doubt they are, we're probably under the threshold.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure that we're crossing every T here.
Okay. People forget that $5,000 actually gets increased every year by the CPI, and that law is probably 15 years, 20 years old.
Okay. Okay. All right, so I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made to vote to give approval for the Town Farm Renovation Committee to spend $6,950 on Town Farm Site Survey. Motion was made and seconded. All those in favor, Donna,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Thank you, both of you. The next one is Stu's again, Recreation Committee Chair. I always screw up your name, Gil. Fill in discussion and possible vote on this establishment of restricted fund account for revenue associated with season parking pass sales.
Sure. So just as a point of clarification, if you ever have to say it again, it's like Gil, fill in the blank, right? So there you go.
I'll probably have to say it several times.
There you
Okay,
go.
go ahead.
Right. Totally understand. So I'm putting this forward because the other proposal with the for the beach fees, one of the things that the Recreation Commission has requested is the ability to assign a $10 fee to parking for residents. And that proposal also would include that with every resident sticker, you would get a roll of trash bags of the $10 equivalency. So that one is one that you've put on the next agenda to review. But the rationale behind this is that there is a request from Recreation to be able to take funds from residents and then reinvest them back specifically into recreation. So there is somewhat of a link between the two. But what I would offer is that our intent here would be any of the funds that would be restricted for recreation use would be used for things like updating and maintenance of the beaches, dealing with care for our recreational facilities. There's a number of different places where we really want to be able to reinvest back into this community. And so that it would not pull away from the revenue that is currently being received by our day passes for parking. This would be a new revenue stream. So just as a clarification point, if you were to pass this tonight and not decide on at the next meeting, it was decided that you did not agree to allow for the proposed parking pass fee structure. This would sort of be moot for right now. It might be on the books for future years, but there would not be any revenue that would come into it. So.
Yeah, and I was almost thinking that we should table this until we do the public hearing so that we don't agree to something that we haven't approved. And also restricted. So you're saying this money wouldn't go into the general fund?
Correct.
Okay. Donna?
I'm listening to you, Stu, and I don't know if you're aware of the charter, section 1214, fees collected by the town, because this has always been a source of questioning in the past, that all payments, miscellaneous fees, all has to go into the general fund.
But Mike, we still have the ability to restrict funds, correct?
Yes. Once they go into the general fund, you can direct them to be restricted, correct?
But we don't do that for third-party billing for the fire department to put it in a restricted fund. I was always told you couldn't do that because of 1214.
Well, I think it opens up a big can of worms, and this has been brought up.
That's all I'm saying. I mean, I'm not against what he's saying. I'm just saying, I don't know where it stops or where it begins.
Well, it opens up a big, and there's been objections to this in the past because there are some departments that don't bring in revenue. And those departments still need to be funded. So if we have departments there's several departments that do bring in revenue, and if everybody wanted their funds restricted, we'd be in trouble. And this has been this is why this has failed in the past, because it does open up a big discussion on where do we stop restricting funds and where do we not? And
Yeah,
a lot of departments, as the fire department, and that's, you're right, Donna, because they have argued with us on several occasions in the past that they're bringing in all this revenue, they should be able to spend it. And the problem is, like I said, and this was brought up by several people, there's some departments that don't bring in revenue. So you are opening a can of worms with this.
and the Harbor Commission, they should keep their mooring fees. I mean,
Right.
I just don't know, Stu, where it starts. I just, I agree with you, I mean, that's usually how you budget at home, but I don't know how it works out with this.
If I may, I understand where the challenge that you're wrestling with, and I do appreciate just the consideration, the discussion for it. In what I would request is that I'm perfectly fine with tabling this and having discussion next time, but if the council could take a look at what the revenue was that came in from the beaches and then take a look at what the recreation budget has been year over year. One of the things that we're trying to seek how to address is that, as everyone sees, there are a number of issues that are brought up by residents for how we need to improve. And if there are other means through which that we could potentially address those or other ideas that people have, I think recreation's game. I believe around $8,000 for the season last year for both beaches, which was far outpaced what we spent. So understand, and with all respect to the fire department, I think their request is valid as well. I'm just really looking through it for the lens of recreation. So I appreciate your consideration.
I think it is a challenge for you because there are a lot of improvements that need to be made, and your budget is very low. But I think maybe at budget time we should try to consider that and increase your budget, or do what we've done this year and use our capital improvement fund to give you some money so you can do your renovations. I do agree that your budget is certainly not what it should be, but of course we just talked about budgets just now and we're in dire straits right now. But I think if we can use capital reserve funds at some point, maybe the casino funds, because to do some of your improvement, that would help you, wouldn't you think?
Sure, I'm open to any consideration and any different way to get there. I think we all have the same goal in mind, and God knows I don't have all the answers, so appreciate any feedback.
Yeah, so I'm thinking if we table this, then we think about this more, and maybe if someone has some creative way to do this, it would be welcomed, or find different funding from other sources to help the Recreation Committee. Bill?
The only question I have is the portion that talks about the fee structure. When does the beach open and when does Stu need to start anticipating what fees he should be charging if we're going to table this for 2 weeks?
No. The item under the consent agenda, for the fee structures, we have to, I'm just trying to find it because I think I'm right.
The timing does work.
For a public hearing. We have to have a public hearing on the fee structures. So we have to wait anyway. So tabling this is funding concerns, but we have to wait for the fees anyway. So am I right? Because we're going to advertise. Approve to advertise for annual fees and fine resolution, because the fees are a resolution of the town council. So it has to go through the period of advertising and then having a public hearing. So he has to wait on the fees anyway, but that'll be done around the time. How long do we have to wait, Joan? We have to advertise for how long? You're on mute. Oh yeah, you know that.
The advertisements for fees and fines, I believe, is 7 days.
Yeah, that's what I think too. All right, so maybe we can do this at the next meeting or the meeting after. Probably the next meeting if she gets it out soon,
Right.
Tomorrow. All right, Joan, get on that. Yeah.
I still don't think, because Even if I get it out tomorrow, it won't be in the paper until not this Thursday's paper, it's next Thursday's paper, and it has to be advertised for 7 days. So the earliest, I believe, is the first meeting in June.
And that's a problem because the beach is closed. It's gonna be opening.
We need to create our own Tiverton newspaper.
You know what, Joan, suppose if I have a special meeting, like when would be if we do it Thursday, we advertise next Thursday, then I could probably fit in a special meeting for this before the beach is open. I don't have a calendar.
Beach is open on Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
next Thursday is the 20th, right? Today's
I
the
don't
10th. Yeah, the 20th. Does
I don't
that
think
day
there's any
count,
week-
Joan? Does that day count, Joan?
Pardon?
If you put it on the 20th, that counts as day one?
yes,
One,
Yeah.
2, 3,
so
4.
we can have a meeting.
So the 26th would be the 7th day. If we met on the Thursday, the 27th, would that work, Joan?
Yep.
So it's razor thin, but it gets us there.
Unless I put it into the Newport Daily News versus putting it into Seconic Times.
We do
So
that.
when could you get it in the Newport Daily News?
That's a daily paper, so yeah, we can get.
Maybe we
get
should do
in.
it that way, and
yeah.
then, and then it would be ready for in 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah, why don't we
Yes.
do it that way? Does that sound all right, Stu?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. And at that time, we'll put this agenda item also and talk more about it.
Sounds
Is
good.
that okay, everyone?
The budget committee's not meeting on Thursday at that point, are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
We
would
won't
be on
need
the
to worry about
Thursday,
that.
Deb.
We won't
It-
need to worry about that.
No, it's gonna be at the next scheduled meeting on a Monday, the 25th, I think it is, or something like that.
24th.
24th.
Yes, May 24th.
Mike, do I need a motion to table this or no? I can just,
I would just table because you're going to bring it back at some point. Just
Okay.
take a mo-
Motion to table till the next regular council meeting.
do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made in second. All those in favor, Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Vieira,
Yes.
Councilor Janick,
Yes.
Councilor Haley,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay, announcements, comments and discussion, town administrator, radio purchase with grant funding.
So to give Chief Jones some credit, he pestered the state, was it the state police where they give out our burn jag grants, and we have our 2017 grant. He's purchasing 3 radios for our new recruits so that they can actually work on the job with some new equipment. This is about a $10,000 expense, and he was fortunate enough to get about $7,800, $7,900 paid for by the grant. So I'm just, making an announcement again that our department heads are doing the best that they can to get some grants and using the monies appropriately to outfit our staff and do the right thing by our town. So again, it's an announcement. The chief is here if he wants to speak about it, but I think it's a great investment and a good use of burn jag monies to buy equipment for our staff.
Thank you, Patrick.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'm working on 2018, 2019, and 2020, so I'll continue to be the pest.
Okay,
Keep doing the
thank
best.
you.
So Patrick, are you our unofficial grant coordinator?
Kinda.
You should be.
All right, the next thing do you all feel we need to go to close executive, or I feel the negotiation team got the direction you wanted us to go in. Is that okay with everyone? Okay. All right, so I want a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Joe just jumped at that one.
He always got that one, doesn't he?
Councilor Perry, Motion, Councilor Vieira seconded. All those in favor, Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Vieira,
Yes.
Councilor Janick.
Yes, and is Joe Perry our official motion to adjourn?
Yeah, yeah.
I can be.
And Councilor Perry, yes, I assume.
Yes.
And I'm a
Yes.
yes. All right, good night, everyone.